Order the acting speaker.
We may be seated. Oh, sorry. Ilo nalo makazithandazele aziyaleze enkosini yakhe ngokuthe cwaka ngokwenkolo yakhe. Thank you very much. Honorable Acting Premier, Honorable Speaker, Acting Chair of Chairs, honorable members of the House, our guests at the gallery, and those that are listening virtually, let me take this opportunity to welcome everybody in this honorable House. Honorable members, just by way of reminding everybody that the chamber is still undergoing repairs to deal with the ICT challenges, and we have been experiencing, as everybody know, and as such, we still have, as an interim measure, sought services of the service provider to assist us as the chamber system so that the plenary can proceed unhindered. And honorable members should therefore not be alarmed by the presence of the staff and the service provider inside the chamber, as the permission has been granted by the Honorable Speaker in terms of powers, privileges, and immunities of parliaments and Provincial Legislatures Act 2004. And all members are further advised that only 2 microphones can be on at any given point in time, and that of a presiding officer and member speaking. As such, members are requested to please minimize switching on and off the microphones unless recognized by the presiding officer, as this will interfere with the microphone of the presiding officer. Honored members are also requested not to leave with the earphones, as these are for use only in the House. Thank you for your attention, honored members. Are there notices of motion? Honorable Malamlela, you'll be the first.
Thank you very much, Honorable Deputy Speaker. I move without notice in terms of Rule 130 that the House, 1, note that the festive season is characterized by influx of migrant workers and holiday makers who make their way into the Eastern Cape. Our roads experience very high numbers of road traffic, and at times, a consequence of this is an equally high number of road accidents and fatalities. 2, also note that driver fatigue, driving under the influence of alcohol, freely roaming livestock, the poor condition of roads, vehicles that are not roadworthy, and the blatant disregard of traffic regulations by drivers of motor vehicles, pedestrians, are but some of the leading contributors to road carnages and pedestrian fatalities. 3, acknowledge that the World Health Organization's Global Status Report on Road Safety, published in 2018, highlighted that globally, injuries from road accidents were the leading killer of people aged between 5 to 29 years. The global burden of road fatalities is disproportionately borne by developing countries like South Africa. We are ranked 159 out of 175 countries in terms of total road fatalities. Understand that the road fatality statistics published in previous years painted a depressing picture of how many lives have been lost unceremoniously on Eastern Cape roads. In the previous festive season, however, we saw an 8% reduction of road accidents on our roads, which is a positive improvement, Deputy Speaker. 5, be encouraged that as a province, we must strive for a continuous improvement in our road accident statistics. Our government, its stakeholders, and all community members must promote safer road usage through abiding by the rules and regulations of the road. 6, appeal to the Department of Transport, MEC, to strengthen its awareness campaigns, increase the visibility of law enforcement on our roads to ensure that all road users are safe and we all reach our destinations intact and free from harm. I so move, Honorable Deputy Speaker. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Lamlela. I put the motion, honorable members. Agreed. Thank you very much. Honorable Pillay.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy Speaker, Honorable Speaker, House at large. Let me greet you in the name of our glorious movement, African National Congress. Honorable Speaker, I move without notice in terms of Rule 130. This House observed that the global warming has resulted in long-term climate changes in the country and the world across. We further acknowledge that the global warming is as a result of the greenhouse emissions and burning the fossils through the main. Note that the impact of global warming had the most devastating effects, particularly to the most remote and the rural areas of this province and beyond. Also note that these effects have resulted not only the loss of lives, of the property in many parts of the country and even the province. Various programs that the government has earmarked upon to alleviate this plight of the affected communities and elevate the fight against global warming needs to be strengthened. We further note that the global warming and climate change is a phenomena that will still be with us for some time. Therefore, the House to resolve, encourage the individual communities and commercial industry to respect the laws of this country that aimed at enhancing the fight against the imminent threat of human existence and prosperity. Appeal to the relevant stakeholders involved in the energy and environmental protection sector so that they work towards the best interests of the country and its people. Finally, exhort the government to continue the efforts of finding a long-lasting and a sustainable solution for the energy needs, where the environment will be protected and the lives of the people will be protected. I so move.
Thank you very much, Honorable Pillay. I now put the motion, honorable members. Thank you very much. We're now going to the member statements, but members, just as a reminder, who wish to make statements are reminded that they have 3 minutes, and the Premier or relevant MEC, acting Premier, will have 5 minutes to respond to each statement in terms of Rule 135A. Honorable Banga, okay, represented by Honorable Stevenson.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy Speaker, members of the House. Honorable Deputy Speaker, as we approach International Anti-Corruption Day, commemorated on the 9th of December, we are forced to take stock of the moral fiber of our country, and unfortunately, it leaves much to be desired. Corruption greatly affects government's ability to deliver services. It contributes to inequality and poverty. The Eastern Cape is one of the poorest provinces Yet we have many cases of corruption. And this view permeates from local government through to provincial structures. Earlier this year, the Special Investigating Unit's report on COVID-19 procurement revealed the extent to which the Eastern Cape officials colluded with suppliers to loot the state coffers. It showed that contracts valued at over 2.9 billion were under investigation, with 23 cases referred for disciplinary and executive action and 34 referred to the NPA. Most of these cases are in the Department of Health and Education. Both departments have been grappling with their own budgets, with the Department of Health technically insolvent and threatening the financial viability of the entire province. The problem with corruption is that it funnels money away from much needed service delivery into the pockets of politically connected individuals. These people are putting themselves above the country. How many of those implicated individuals have actually had to face the full consequences of the law? How many of these individuals have actually been charged or imprisoned? Until corrupt individuals actually face the consequences of their action, they will continue and others will follow in their footsteps, because there is a narrative in this country that people can get away with it. If we continue to be soft on accountability, we will lose the fight against corruption. As we approach World Anti-Corruption Day tomorrow, Honourable Acting Premier, we call on you to take a tough stand against corruption, to make a commitment to hold those implicated in corruption accountable. Honourable Acting Premier, you must take up the fight against corruption that is poisoning our country. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Honorable Benjamin.
Good morning, Honourable Deputy Speaker. Good morning, Honourable Acting Premier, MECs, colleagues, and the House at large. Honourable Acting Speaker, according to the Measuring Food Security realized by Stats SA in 2020, approximately 17.28%, that is about 10.1 million, of South Africans were affected by moderate food insecurity, while 7%, which is 4.1 million, experienced severe food insecurity. Some of the determinants of varying degrees of food insecurity in South Africa included being black, being female, spatial inequality, the impacts of climate change, and unemployment. 2, Honourable Deputy Speaker, the most dominant factor was high levels of unemployment in South Africa. Unemployment greatly erodes the food security status of households. The prognosis for female-headed and child-headed households is as gloomy as can be. 3, some of these unemployed citizens of the Eastern Cape have limited accessibility to food, wherein the shop's shelves are full of food, but they are unable to purchase it, with some being faced with a daily choice being between purchasing food or any other commodity that is necessary for their well-being. 4, Honourable Deputy Speaker, the far-reaching effects of lockdown brought about by COVID-19 pandemic worsened the situation through major economic disruptions that led to slow economic recovery and increased unemployment, which translated to further losses of livelihoods, undermining the NDP and the SDG goal of achieving zero hunger by 2030. 5, Honourable Deputy Speaker, Honourable Members, if food security is to be prioritized by the province of the Eastern Cape, interventions must be addressed the various food and nutritional needs of citizens. Citizens need to be provided with the basic needs and the resources they require to experience a dignified existence in the line with broader vision of the NDP and provincial development plans. 6, sustainable local food value chains must be established, maintained, and monitored to produce affordable food. Existing social protection programs must be strengthened to maximize their reach and benefit to all those who are in need. 7, We all need to work together to ensure that the necessary support is made available to households that are faced with destitution and food insecurity, with targeted interventions provided to vulnerable households that are in dire need of assistance. 8. In this regard, and the comprehensive social security intervention as introduced by the ANC government must be commended, and further implore government working with social partners to strive for the Eastern Cape, wherein no person to sleep on an empty stomach. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Benjamin. Honorable Acting Premier.
Good morning to you, Deputy Speaker, the Honorable Speaker, and all the honorable members of the House. On the first question on anti-corruption, tomorrow, as we all know, that is the Anti-Corruption Day, and as the province will be meeting tomorrow, and as you know, that we are committed as this government to fight corruption, and we are committing as this government that we are going to fight corruption. All those who are doing corrupt activities, they are facing the might of the law. And coming to the second question that was asked by Honorable Benjamin, I will ask the MEC for Social Development on SASSA to explain what they are doing, but from the department of Dr. Da, what we are doing is that we do have programs just like the household, where we give people all the implements to make sure that there is food. There is no household or family that goes to bed without food. And there are other programs that are being done by the Department of Social Development on food security and those that are vulnerable. Over to you, Ms.
Thank you, Honorable Acting Premier. Honorable Stevenson. As Department of Social Development, we have launched a program of malnourished children, in particular in districts that were highly affected, working with Department of Health, the Ngoza Hill, Alfred Nzo, and Nelson Mandela. We have launched nutritional package for children that are malnourished, and we are prepared to give them for 10 months, and thereafter, if assessment is done and find that there's still a need, it is continuing. Also, as a department, we are supporting women co-op for women to have projects, food projects, who are from irrigation scheme in Pedi, where the department supported about 20 women with working tools to revive the irrigation scheme in Pedi. That was the source of food in that area. So as a department, there's a lot that we're doing in trying to curb the issue of hunger in our province. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Honorable Premier. I think that was a response from the executive to members' statements. We always encourage members to forward their member statements, because that's when our committees will be in a position to understand and know exactly progress, as well as some challenges experienced at those levels. And this is the only platform where we can manage to get those things. Thank you very much, honored members. We are proceeding. Honored members, just again as a reminder, that the decision has been taken by the multi-party whips committee, in that each chairperson has been allocated 15 minutes to table their reports, and the members of the executive each have 10 minutes to respond to the debate. And the time allocated for questions of clarity to the committee and all members of the executive is 5 minutes each. I will now ask the secretary to read the first order of the day.
consideration of reports of the Legislature Oversight Committee on annual and financial oversight reports.
I will now invite Honorable Benjamin, who is? Oh, Honorable Konza, sorry. In the place of Honorable Fihlani. Fifteen minutes, ma'am.
Thank you, Honorable Acting Speaker. Honorable Speaker of the Legislature, Honorable Acting Premier in the Executive, Honorable Members, the audience that is in the gallery, all those that are watching us from the different platforms in social media and other sources. Let me greet you this morning. I will present the report on LOC on behalf of the Chairperson, Honorable Fihlani. I will, Honorable Acting Speaker, zoom straight to the findings and the recommendations because of time. On Program 1, the first finding A, the Legislature received an unqualified audit opinion with the Auditor General satisfied that the financial reporting of the institution is good, and therefore the committee commends this achievement, but is worried that the performance does not correlate with the audit outcomes. B, the ERP rollout is threatened by the unavailability of network infrastructure. The lack of adequate infrastructure begs the question of why it was procured before ensuring that the Legislature has the requisite network infrastructure to support such a huge project. C, the business processes of the Legislature are sometimes slow and have caused delays in the payment of service providers, which negatively impacts service delivery and providers and members when conducting Legislature business. D, the underspending in capital payments has negatively affected the functioning of the Legislature, wherein items such as laptops could not be procured during the period when most of the work was being conducted virtually. E, the Legislature is undergoing a process of re-engineering the organogram, with the first phase of the project focusing on the macro-organizational structure, which is senior management to presiding officers, and is expected to have been completed by December 2022 and the rest of the institution by March 2023. F, the Legislature is participating in the Speakers Forum and Secretaries Forum, and it seems that some of the decisions of the fora are out of the sync with the plans of the Legislature, or that the Legislature fails to plan for the resolutions of the forums, such as those in the collective bargaining agreements. Recommendations A, the Legislature must ensure that it sustains the clean audit outcome. Additionally, the Legislature's financial management must find expression in the institution's operations performance and ensure meaningful public participation in the programs of the Legislature. B, the Legislature must submit a report to the committee within 30 days of the adoption of this report on how it plans to mitigate the network challenges for the ERP project. C, the Legislature must improve its business processes that are a cause for delay in the payment of service providers. D, the Legislature must submit a plan on how the laptops that were supposed to have been procured are to be carried over to the current financial year and how they are to be distributed. E, the Legislature must submit a report within 30 days of the adoption of this report on how the new re-engineered organogram will look and whether this re-engineering is consistent with the resolutions taken at the different fora. F, the Legislature must budget for resolutions taken at the fora that have financial implications. On Program 2, the findings. A, the National Department of Public Works and Provincial Department of Public Works failed to provide quality services and maintenance for the houses that accommodate MPLs. The unsatisfactory service include the following: A, residences inside the ministerial complex; B, standalone residences outside the ministerial complex. Recommendations: A, the legislature must look for a model that will work for the legislature and that does not leave the issue of housing for members to another department. A report must be submitted within 30 days of the adoption of this report in this regard. Program 3, findings: A, the outbreak of COVID-19 led to the implementation of the district-based oversight model and the introduction of virtual meetings for portfolio and standing committees to considerable success. B, the committees in the governance cluster did not conduct public participation week oversight visits during the period under review. C, the committees that managed to conduct oversight visits could not be provided with stationery in the year under review. D, the taking legislature to the people did not take place and it was deferred to the financial year of 2022-23 due to budgetary constraints. E, sectoral parliaments did not take place and they were deferred to the 2022-2023 financial year. F, the holding of virtual and hybrid house sittings was a success during the COVID-19 pandemic, and legislature was able to execute important functions such as the approval of the budget and holding the executive to account. Recommendations: A, the committee appreciates the efforts and innovations introduced to ensure that the legislature continued to work during the pandemic. B, the legislature must ensure that the governance cluster is given more time in the program in the next financial year in order to compensate for the lost time in the year under review. C, the legislature must ensure that members are provided with all required material needed for them when executing their constitutional duties. A plan of how this will be achieved must be submitted within 30 days of the adoption of this report. D, the legislature must submit a report detailing the plans for taking legislature to the people for the next financial year within 30 days of the adoption of this report. E, the legislature must submit a report detailing the plans for all sectoral parliaments for the next financial year within 30 days of the adoption of the report. F, the committee appreciates the efforts and innovations introduced to ensure that the legislature continued to work during the pandemic without posing risk to its stakeholders. Under general findings: A, notwithstanding the achievements of the unqualified audit opinion, the quality of the service rendered to MPLs has declined in the period under review. B, the implementation of the ERP project is a grave concern for the committee, as it appears that the institution is not ready for this project because it does not have the appropriate network infrastructure to handle such a project or hardware like laptops that are to be used in the system. It seems like the legislature has put the cart before the horse and the costs are proving to be very high for something that is not yet to work. C, there are decisions that are taken at the various forums that are important and can assist the legislature in better financial management of the budget. And such decisions need to be discussed and understood by the greater legislature community, as most of these decisions have impact on the budget of the institution. D, the budget constraints and deficits are such that the legislature is not realizing the objectives of its programs. Recommendations: A, the legislature must ensure at all level times and across various programs that the quality of service rendered to MPLs is improved in order for members to be able to focus on the implementation of the mandate of the legislature. An improvement plan must be submitted to the committee within 30 days of the adoption of this report. B, The legislature must urgently deal with the issues that make the implementation of the ERP to be a success, and a plan on how that will be achieved must be submitted 30 days after the adoption of this report. C, the legislature must develop a way to inform the legislature committee about developments that are happening at the legislative sector level in order for the community to be better informed about some decisions and strategic direction informed by what has been agreed upon at a sector level. D, the legislature will have to refocus some of its programs to ensure that the core function of the legislature are not compromised. A plan on how to overcome these budget deficits must be submitted to this committee. We then table the annual report, Honorable Speaker, Deputy Speaker. We move to the half-year financial oversight report, to the findings and the recommendations. Finding A, under Program 1, the legislature is to overspend on compensation of employees' services across all programs due to A, insufficient funding due to the budget cuts because of the fiscal consolidation, B, job grading implementation, and C, PMDS implementation, that is regarding the bargaining unit. B, the Bargaining Council has approved a 4.5% salary increase with a cash bonus to be paid on no later than 15 December 2022. In addition, the payment is to be backdated from the 1st of April 2022. Lastly, it seems the legislature did not budget for the salary increase, even though it was part of the negotiations and was aware of the likely increase and the outcome of the salary negotiations. Recommendations thereto. A, the legislature must within 30 days submit a compensation of employee expenditure improvement plan to the committee, as well as progress report tracking current expenditure. B, the legislature must pay the employee benefits as per sector bargaining council resolutions. Program 2, findings. A, the direct charge is at 55.5% due to the implementation of the members' increments in July 2022 in lieu of 2021-2022 financial year. The identified shortfall of 9.4 million in this item has been communicated to the provincial treasury in order for them to augment the budget shortfall during the adjustment estimate. Recommendations. A, the legislature must within 30 days of the adoption of this report update the committee about its request to the provincial treasury, that is progress thereto. Program 3, parliamentary services, the findings. A, the inability of committees to meet physically during the consideration of annual reports and financial oversight reports due to budgetary constraints represented a new low in the quality of service given to MPLs and the quality of engagements of committees they have with departments and public entities. B, the inability of committees to meet physically at the legislature is happening against the backdrop of management officials traveling extensively throughout the province, attending to various legislature business at a great cost to the institution, and sometimes attaching themselves to programs of committees they add no value to, nor input such as school visits. C, the constitutional mandate of the holding of the executive to account should never again be compromised due to budgetary constraints.
2
of
minutes.
paying for travel claims, and such decisions must be taken without the members being informed. Thank you, Speaker. Recommendations. The legislature must prioritize its activities to ensure that similar occurrence does not happen again in the year under review. B, the legislature must within 30 days submit a plan to the committee on how it plans to limit the traveling of officials to meetings that can be attended virtually, and also limit the attendance of school visits to officials who support members by organizing meetings and stakeholders and writing reports. C, the legislature must within 30 days submit a plan to the committee on how it will manage the process of considering the budget hearings in the 2023. General findings. A, There is discord with respect to legislature management provides there is discord with respect to how the legislature management provides support to its programs as opposed to be supporting legislature mandates that is implemented by members. B, the legislature's operational environment shows centralization of communication in the management ranks of the institution, as MPLs and general staff are not timelessly informed of key legislature undertakings or challenges. C, the bilateral discussions between the Honorable Speaker and Honorable MEC for Finance on the challenges with the budget constraints culminated to a request of an additional budget of 35.0 million and only 15.3 million was allocated. D, the legislature did not receive the budget allocation it requested from Treasury. In its reprioritization of programs, the core function of the oversight in a manner that facilitates public participation was the most compromised. E, there is an impression that the legislature does not budget for ICS resolutions, which results in budgetary constraints and creates discontent mood with the staff. General recommendations: A, the legislature management must be transparent in the manner it dispenses its duties and dispel notions of bias. B, the management of the institution must create a culture of cooperation by being accountable through appropriate meetings with the MPLs and staff in general. C, the Speaker must continue to engage the MEC for Provincial Treasury for more allocation for mandated legislature priorities in pursuance of Standing Rule 160.
The time is up.
We present the report and we thank the staff. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Honorable Konza, are there clarities directed to the committee, honored members? None. Clarities to the Honorable Speaker? None. May I now invite Honorable Stevenson from Democratic Alliance. 12 minutes.
Honorable Deputy Speaker, Honorable Speaker, MECs, members of the House. The key thought that's been implanted in my mind when reflecting on the state of the legislature is the word sustainability. Sustainability. Can the legislature said to be sustainable on its current trajectory when one looks at the financial road ahead? In a presentation to the Legislature Oversight Committee, we were told that after the adjustment budget, there will still be a shortage of 20 million for the cost of employment and 19 million for goods and services as at the end of the financial year. What this means is, in practice, is that there will have to be some compromise when it comes to the core business of the legislature. A plan needs to be developed going forward to ensure that the legislature becomes financially sustainable in the long run. And we need to develop this plan. Otherwise, we will simply have our heads in the sand and slowly watch this house slide over the cliff. For many years, more than a decade, I've been warning about the cost of COE in the legislature, and it has now become a monster that is devouring us. And this problem is not just of the last 5 years, it's been coming for many, many years. If one looks at the annual report, the average cost to company of people employed in this legislature, including their MPLs, is 1,209,000. If one extracts the MPLs and support staff, the average salary, according to my researchers, is 974,000 per annum. This is very close to what an ordinary MPL earns at just over 1.1 million cost to company. Now with the latest increases that have been awarded, the average salary in this legislature will go over the 1 million rand mark. And to put this in some perspective, the average salary of an associate professor cost a company is around 833,000. This person will have a doctorate and 10 to 15 years experience and be able to stand their ground with their peers in the international academic community. A PA in the legislature earns more than that. How can it be that these figures have become so out of alignment? It's because year after year, the wage bill continues to balloon. Unless we arrest the spiraling cost of COE, the legislature's activities will eventually grind to a halt. And this is the honest truth. The increase over the past 6 years amounts to 48.9% in the wage bill. At this rate, the average salary in this institution will be about 1.5 million in 5 years' time. And when we look at how the wage bill balloons, it's not just a 4.3% increase. You have the cash allowance, which takes it to 7.3. Then you have notch increases and PDMS. To put this PDMS in some perspective, in the Department of Community Safety, only 9 out of 130 people qualified for PDMS. PDMS, what, sorry? PMDS, sorry, my apologies. A second issue that concerns me is the state of this chamber that is not yet fully operational and results in us having to pay a service provider. At the very heart of a constitutional democracy lies a parliament and its sittings. We really need to get this house operating properly. We need to fix all the ICT problems. Then there are also ways of cutting back on expenditure in the legislature. One of them must surely be the exorbitant expenditure of probably around 3 million rand spent on education visits alone. Really, only the Portfolio Committee of Education should be involved in these visits, and schools can be scientifically benchmarked as representative samples of what needs to be visited. Given the state of our finances, we cannot have all the MPLs going out on these visits along with many officials, as is alluded to in the report. In fact, the report specifically refers to the number of officials crisscrossing the province. Now, one of the root causes of some of this grandeur expenditure relates to cashback B&Bs, in which officials and members are housed at great cost. This results in these guest houses inflating the cost of accommodation, and I saw that the Honourable MEC for Social Development did speak out against this when establishments complained to her. And then when tabling the annual report, the MEC for Finance also mentioned corruption refuses to go away when kickbacks with respect to accommodation, and several business chambers have complained about this. When the Honourable Oudendal asked a question to the MEC for Finance, he said, this practice is clearly a violation of provision 13.1.8 of NT Instruction Note 2 of 217.218, which clearly stipulates that the traveller is not allowed to redeem an institution's travel accommodation voucher or part thereof. Now, I understand that some members don't like the food, and that is a fair comment. But surely then, Treasury regulations should come into effect as to what allowances should be paid. A further concern is the state of MPL's houses, which is an ongoing problem, some of which have been ransacked. And Honourable Deputy Speaker, the Internal Arrangements Committee needs to meet on a more regular basis to get to grips with the issues related to MPL's houses and tools of trade. The ICT situation in this legislature is a perennial problem, particularly with the email server and outages, where people have to use private email addresses. This needs to be fixed. As members of this House, we have an obligation to do vigorous oversight to help improve service delivery in this province. This means outreach work, it means frequent House sittings where we can hold the executive accountable, and it also means face-to-face meetings where we can push to get the right answer and not feel squeezed into a corner behind a computer screen. Honourable Speaker, we need to draw a line in the sand, and we need to come up with a plan to deal with the financial issues confronting this House. But surely as an interim, it needs to start with provincial treasury, providing more adequate funding so we can do our work. The consequence of this is that the executive ends up holding this House to ransom because we cannot oversight them as efficiently and effectively as we would like. And we cannot allow the legislature to be cut off at its needs. Besides engaging with provincial treasury, the way forward must be freezing of non-essential posts and a restructuring exercise. It is not sustainably possible to carry on the current trajectory of COE. It's now had a compounding effect over so many years that it's simply spiraling out of control. Let us also not forget that this legislature has a mechanism, a change to the rules I helped introduce many, many years ago, whereby the Speaker and the MEC for Finance need to reach an agreement on the legislature budget before the budget can, as a whole, can be introduced. Honourable Speaker, maybe the time is coming where we're going to have to
2 minutes.
thank you, utilize that weapon at our disposal. But there is also something else at the disposal of members of this House. That is the new Money Bills Act, which would technically allow the legislature to amend the budget. And all I'm saying to my honourable colleagues here, at some point we are going to have to take a stand. We're going to have to stand up for our rights to be able to do the work we were elected to do. So I would urge members of this House to reflect very, very carefully on the financial sustainability and the tough decisions that are going to have to be made to place this House on a better financial footing. I thank you, Honourable Deputy Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honorable Stevenson. I will invite UDM, Honorable Zindi. 4 minutes, ma'am. Let me just remind honored members that speakers in the speakers list must come forward and occupy these chairs to manage time. Over to you, ma'am. Your 4 minutes start now.
Morning, Honourable Deputy Speaker. Effective legislatures are fundamental to promoting good governance and are a critical component in overall governance framework. We support the notion that the legislature must pay the employee benefit as per sector bargaining council resolutions. Budgetary constraints are really compromising the work of Parliament. The activities of legislature need to be prioritized. The institution is setting a good example of other state institutions. There is no organization that can thrive without getting its internal controls in order. We are proud that Parliament obtained a clean audit. We hope other departments can take from you and account for all the monies they receive and achieve clean audits. As we are about to close for the business of the year, we must continue to strive to hold government departments accountable. May we not take it light the work of oversight that we are doing. The citizens of the province depend on us here that we will ensure that the public purse is not abused by those entrusted with, and that policies are implemented. They get the best service from all government departments within the province. Our work does not end here today, but there is a lot that needs to be done to ensure the lives of the people change for the better. To reinforce accountability from those who abuse power that they are trusted with. As we are all standing here today, may we not forget it is not all about us, but it's for the citizens of the province who deserve better than what currently is given to them. Catherine Link once said, open quotes, leaders inspire accountability through their ability to accept responsibility before they place blame, close quote. I thank you, Chair. The UDM accept the report. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Zinti. I will now invite the African National Congress, Honorable Anil Kumar Pillay. 18 minutes, Honorable Member.
Honorable Deputy Speaker, Honorable members of the August House, Alliance leaders outside, greetings from the profound organization, African National Congress once again. Today, while we are debating on this particular report, we all know that the program has started against violence, against the 16 days activism against women and children. This reminds me of American philosopher, musician, and he said this, and I quote, "No one deserves to die, to be hurt, to be injured, to be raped, to be abused, to be molested by you, no matter what you did for them. No matter how powerful you are, no matter how rich you are, no matter how sexy you are. You have no right. How they did or they did not, that does not matter. You cannot hurt them." These words echoing all corners of this country, and that is why we say today, African National Congress, I represent them, I represent that organization. We say that this debate becomes very meaningful. The campaign is critical if we are to curb the menace of gender-based violence and femicide, which has been proven itself to be a pandemic, just like the COVID-19. Deputy Speaker, the African National Congress strategic goal for Parliament and provincial legislatures is to create an activist and a people-centered parliament, because we believe in a developmental state. To build a centrally, a developmental and a capable state, we feel that the interest of the people need to be catered. And that means the parliament needs to be taken care. We can only achieve through the continuous improvement and enhancement of work of the legislature. That's why I was happy, Honorable Stevenson, when you were here. You are not just saying about what is Western Cape. You are talking content. And that should be the one followed. Thank you very much. Honorable Deputy Speaker, the physically constrained environment in which we are operating in this legislature is the potential of frustrating our work. And efforts, people may see we did nothing, simply because of the reason we are not enabling condition. It is not seen as a rubber stamp of the executive. And to maintain a balance between the three arms of state, the legislature, the judiciary, and the executive, it is important that this particular legislature needs to be strong. And all discussions which is going to emerge from here should be critical. Majority of our people struggle to understand the difference between a parliament as well as a government. They always think it is synonymous. They see it the same thing. Therefore, to ensure the independence of the legislative sector, to entrench the respect of the constitutional autonomy, it is important that the provincial legislature becomes a core mandate of everyone, directly or indirectly involved in that. In other words, when you appropriate other departments, other MECs, you are doing it here. This is where the starting point. This is the focal point. The Constitution recognizes the legislature have a critical role to play in overseeing the performance of departments and public entities. The challenge facing Parliament and the provincial legislature is to improve the capacity of the portfolio committee to hold departments and entities to account their performance using their strategic plans, budget documents, and annual reports. We must not be discomfort. There should be no discomfort at all, because it is where the legislature is supposed to do its work. This makes it crystal clear that the annual report of the legislature presented today is not only analytical. It is key to the programs of the government and of the ruling party, African National Congress. Parliaments have responded in different ways to challenge to continue their constitutional role oversight during the pandemic. In Spain, Deputy Speaker, committee oversights carried through a single nominated representative of each parliamentary group, just one during the COVID period. In Czechoslovakia Republic, where the parliament was not sitting the entire 2020, in this Eastern Cape, Deputy Speaker, in this Eastern Cape, not in Western Cape, in this place, we continue to do our work. And it was a giant leap for the Speaker and his team to make sure that there are virtual sections. And certainly it needs to be appreciated, the leadership of this legislature. We took that move. The audit report is the most important, and not only the independent assessment of the quality of the financial statements, including all disclosures. It is therefore one of the most important reports to consider while reviewing the annual report. ANC is so happy, Speaker, to note that this legislature achieved an unqualified audit opinion for the period under review. One of the biggest weaknesses in many of the annual reports is the poor quality of non-financial performance and service delivery information. The non-financial information is not capturing. You will not understand how a program has done well or not. But the annual report is talking about how they have managed that. So we can say that against the strategic plans you put, at least there are areas of improvement, but you managed to do something. The rise of the digital economy is one of the defining features of 21st century. Digital technologies affect societies and economies in many ways, including the way the means of communication and collaboration and the new products come into the service delivery picture. Digitalization is therefore fundamentally transforming the lives of the people. It has the consequences of how people will be improved their lives. This is why African National Congress is noting that the introduction of the first phase of ERP, that is the Enterprise Resource Management System, in 21st October 2021, we appreciate that. We know that ERP systems are critical for managing businesses of all sizes and industries. If there is no electricity, there is no light. Currently, if there are no ERP systems, organization can be affected. Looking ahead, there is a need of fast-tracking the implementation of the ERP within its stipulated timeframes. It is important, Deputy Speaker, the timeframes to be achieved. We might have a good system, but the system is not implemented. If the doctor does not arrive in time, patient will die. It may be good, the doctor may be good, but the patient will die. Looking ahead, we need to implement this as fast as possible. The under-expenditure reported by the Program 1, announcing around 14 million, is certainly had an impact of the implementation of the ERP system. This is an area needs special attention. I know that when the legislature made the under-expenditure, honorable members of the DA, their eyes may be tingling because we are talking about under-expenditure. You don't. I'm so missing Honorable Banga. Oh, Honorable Banga is here. I'm happy. There's an information for you. 2021 audit report of Western Cape. 8.89 million underspent. 342,000 only could roll over. There were 8 cases of irregular expenditure, Honorable Banga, amounting to 4 million. Wasteful expenditure of 158,000 and more. We are talking about, sometimes there are millions. 4.4 is a million. I think I'll teach you. I'm a maths teacher at later stage. I want to say, dreaming is not a crime. The MEC for Safety and Security is not a crime. But dreaming and thinking it can correlate with other people's thinking is wrong. So that is what you are doing. I think the AG's report to the Western Cape, and I don't want to spend time, but I need this house to know. AG said to them, province should clarify legislature prescriptive and departure through consultation with the National Treasury. As this is one of the key reasons finding irregularities in supply chain management in the Western Cape legislature. So let's not come and say that things are ordered. We understand, That's why I said I like the way Honorable Stevenson put things into. Looking ahead, there is a need of, the annual report is raising a lot of issues about ICT functionality and ICT communication issues. Various studies are illustrating the ways in which ICT can empower parliaments in both developed and developing countries. So it is important that ICT need to be improved. Evolution of the communication for development has mirrored broader shifts in theories and models of the economic and social development. Communication from institutions like legislature thus becomes very key. It amplifies the voices of the voiceless. It amplifies the represent the poor people in this province. So it becomes important. That two-way horizontal communication of public hearing, debates, question paper. I think we need to be proud that our premier was standing there in 1 hour and responding to the question. It is not happening everywhere. The annual report suggests that there are various challenges facing the communication. Many people think that communication is something it is not an obligation to the Constitution. It's a wrong thing. Communication needs to be changed. We only got 2 graphic designers in this particular institution. When you are sitting 8 public meetings sitting by the portfolio committee, how can be represented? They need physical resource. They need financial resource. Communication needs to be strengthened because that is where people understand the programs of the legislature. So it is very important. I want to call upon one of the finest comrades African National Congress produced, Comrade Joel Nechitense. He said, the participation of citizens in formulating decisions that affect them is most desirable. It means if you take a decision of people, you must be aware about it. Often the words sound pious and worn out. This is the challenge that genuine democracies do, like South Africa must do. The point is to make across all spheres of the government and among all the people, rich and the poor, men and women, young and old, communication becomes key. This is what he said. It is important communication, including public participation, needs to be strengthened. Municipalities must be informed. You can't reach there and the municipalities are not made the groundwork, people to come, because we are there to see our people. The COE budget was under severe constraint, I agree, and payments to manage benefits were partially paid. We cannot create an accrual on COE. A person working 35 years, after 35 years, he gets out of the organization, painfully waiting for his pension. Deputy Speaker, we cannot allow that kind of a situation. As the half-year legislature concedes that it has no urgent provision of tools of trade. We need tools of trade. We cannot have tools of trade, then we cannot work. I think legislature must look into that. Honorable Speaker, ANC is pleased to note that the institution facilitated 11 NCOP and 4 provincial bills for consideration. It's an achievement. These include Eastern Cape Money Bills, Amendment Procedure, related, and also the Development Agency Bill, all that. Pursuing the report, one thing the ANC is noticing is that the page 48 of the report is only talking about school visit program. Yet, there are many things to be reported. Our own Madiba, our own Nelson Mandela, during his farewell speech in 26th of March 1999, he said this: it is the legislature that the mechanisms have been formed to improve the life of the society. It is here the scrutiny and oversight of the government work has been applied. Madiba was talking about oversight. So in no way we can actually compromise with our oversight work. Oversight work, whether there is money, any model you use, African National Congress believes that oversight is key activity. Exercising the rigorous oversights over the executive becomes indispensable tool to safeguard the interest of the we call serve. We dare not fail in our pursuit of a transformed society where all our people are beneficiaries of an accelerated and improved service delivery. It is noteworthy to raise the discontent of the Legislature Oversight Committee on the lack of consultation by Provincial Treasury. I'm happy the MEC is here. We are saying the institution's allocation letter, after multiple high-level bilateral engagements, still presented. We are saying we do not have money. It needs to be taken care. The matter has been escalated to the Premier and must be urgent attention needed so that if there is no sufficient resourcing of the legislature, the institution will collapse. Honorable Deputy Speaker, I am coming to closer. The African National Congress appreciates the commitment and dedication from your team in the legislature. There is a lot of room for improvement. However, we will continue to provide unwavering support to this institution because we believe that this institution is the focal point of change. This institution where millions of our people look for hope. It fulfills the vision of being an activist and a responsive assembly for good governance and the improvement of quality life. The quality life for all and our slogan of better life for all. I close this one by saying one of our dearest persons who passed within 34 years, he changed Burkina Faso, Thomas Sankara. This is what he said. We have to work at decolonizing our mentality. Honorable Manga, we have to work at decolonizing our mentality and achieving happiness with its limits to sacrifice. And we should be willing to make work. We must live. This is very important. He says we must learn to live in an African way. There's nothing wrong in African way. Africa proved many ways, many times. When COVID came, people thought that South Africa will die. We did not. We stood firm. So he says we must learn to live in the African way. It is the only way one will live with freedom and dignity. The ANC hereby welcomes and supports the tabling of the annual and half-year Financial Oversight Committee reports of the legislature. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Pillay. I will now call upon the Honorable Speaker, Honorable Souls August, to conclude the debate.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy Speaker, the Acting Premier in the House, all MECs present, members of the Provincial Legislature, the Secretariat, and the team present here. Unfortunately, they are all sitting up there. They can't sit that side. Unlike other departments where you don't even have the leadership in the House, our guest that is sitting in the gallery, you are most welcome to this. Honorable Deputy Speaker, I take this opportunity to acknowledge the report submitted by the LOC and also acknowledge the work that has been done under the stewardship of the Deputy Chief Whip, that is the Chair and the Whip and all members of the committee, and we agree that we will submit all reports within the prescript of the 30 days that is required in terms of the specific recommendations. I think, Chair, Deputy Speaker, we do need to acknowledge the role played by the Secretary and her team during this very, very difficult period that we have undergone. It is important to understand that it required us, instead of putting our heads in the sand, it required innovation, it required thinking out of the box, and it also required taking decisions where others did not want very radical decisions to be taken to make sure that this legislature complies with its constitutional mandate. I'm quite sure that Secretary will say this year that it was not easy, but it was worth it. So thank you very much to the Secretary, also to the presiding officers, the Deputy Speaker, the Acting Chair of Chairs, and now our Chair of Chairs who has left us for the executive. They have really played a critical role in ensuring that we steer the ship in uncharted waters. The issue that we need to acknowledge is that the Eastern Cape has been losing in its equitable share over a number of years. And inadvertently, the legislature will also be affected. We acknowledge that, and this is an issue that we have engaged the MEC of Provincial Treasury with. But that being said, that there needs to be an appreciation not only by the MEC, but by the executive led by the Premier, that the legislature is a separate arm of the state, independent, autonomous, and it is the only structure that oversights them from every cent, every program, every service that they are doing. That is the distinct roles between the two structures. And in order for the legislature to execute that task, the legislature requires adequate funding to fulfill its constitutional mandate. Now, I think those discussions between myself and the MEC will continue. We thank the MEC for listening to our plea and the submissions that we have made, because we requested in the adjustment budget an additional 74 million and we received only half thereof. That basically means that indeed you will now have challenges once again for the ensuing 4 months as we are moving forward. But once again, the open engagement with the MEC or Provincial Treasury will have to ensue. It is easy for us to say, we want this, we demand this, but I think it is important for us to also understand that we are all compelled to work within the fiscal constraints. It is not going to go away. From the indicative budget for 23-24, already we can see a huge top slicing that is forthcoming for the legislature. How do we carry on the work? We carry on the work by becoming innovative. We still continue with the work, but we look at ways and means how to do our work differently. Instead of saying, if we can't do it in the way that we are used to doing it, we won't be doing it. And I think that is an issue that really is a challenge that each and every member of the provincial legislature, we need to ask ourselves, are we up for the task? And I think if we work together the way we have been doing right throughout COVID, which the report acknowledges, I am quite sure that we can do that. ICT is definitely a challenge with the legislature, and that is an issue that we have to take up. Those that are responsible for dragging their feet and making sure that the issues are supposed to be attended to must be taken to task. And that directive has been given to the secretary to deal decisively. It cannot be that for almost 2 years, that tenders that have gone out keep on coming back inconclusive, keep on coming back. It can't be, and then we are sitting with the challenges. It begs the question to be asked, what agenda is underpinning all of these things that is happening within the legislature? So we take note of the report, and we do believe that working together that we can overcome all of these challenges. But I think, as Honorable Stevenson has also said, we need to become sustainable, and we also have our role to play. We do need to acknowledge that there's a lot of policies that have been taken in this legislature 10 years back, 15 years back, that is coming back now to bite the legislature. And most of those policies have got to deal with conditions of service, way above even what National Parliament is giving to its staff. And that is the reality. The way this legislature assigns support staff is way above even what bigger legislatures than ourselves with bigger budgets assigned to their staff. So those are the issues that really we do have to grapple with, and I'm quite sure with the acting chair of chairs, the deputy speaker within the EXCO, with the rules committee, in our meeting of January, we will be tackling all of those issues head on and deal with those issues decisively. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I now put the report, honorable members. Agreed? Any objection? No objector here, truly. Thank you very much. Honorable Speaker, let me just quickly introduce our special guest for today. We've got the youngest visitor in our midst, Usanele. I think it's the last born Kamamu Zinti. Can we stand up, little girl, and greet the Honorable Speaker? Thank you very much. She's accompanied by Blessing, who is the third born, as well as Azande. Yes, you can all stand. Bakhatshwa ke ngu-aunty wabo, uNolihle. Thank you very much. Would like to see a number of your children coming and witnessing the good work that we are doing. Thank you very much. I will now ask the secretary to read the next order of the day.
Consideration of report of the Portfolio Committee on Sport, Recreation, Arts and Culture on annual and financial oversight reports.
I will now call upon Honorable Gaya. 15 minutes, ma'am. Starts now.
Thank you very much. Oh, I said, yeah, change much. Thank you very much, Speaker. Acting Premier, MSs present, amalungu endlu wisomthetho, indwendwe zethu ezibalulekileyo ezihleli phaa egalari, molweni ngalentsasa. Because of time, Speaker, I will just shoot through recommendations. Program 1. The department must provide the committee with a turnaround plan in terms of how it proposes to deal decisively with under expenditure in its ranks. Failure to spend the allocated budget will have a negative impact on the overall performance of the department. A progress report in this regard should be submitted to the committee within 30 days after the adoption of the report. Recommendation number 2, the department must expedite the process of filling the vacant posts as a matter of great urgency in order to meet its equity targets. A progress report should be submitted to the committee within 30 days after the adoption of the report by the House. Number 3, the department must expedite the process of dealing with outstanding disciplinary cases so as to avoid situations where these cases drag on for a long period of time and cost taxpayers millions of rands in the process. A detailed report should be submitted in the committee within 30 days after the adoption of the report by the House. The department must continue to develop empowerment programs for women, not only SMS levels, but across the entire organization and its entities. On cultural affairs, straight to recommendations, the department must develop comprehensive plans to advert under expenditure in this program, given the numerous challenges facing the cultural sector in the province. The department must provide the committee with a clear plan with realistic timeframes to ensure that the East London Guild Theatre and Nelson Mandela Bay Theatre Complex are provided with digital equipment so that both institutions can perform optimally in the line with the requirements of the fourth industrial revolution. A progress report in this regard should be submitted to the committee within 30 days after the adoption of the report by the House. C, the department must urgently ensure that the community arts center policy is finalized as speedily as possible for the benefit of all arts centers in the province. A progress report in this regard should be submitted to the committee kungaphelanga insuku ezingamashumi amathathu 30 days after adoption of the report by the House. The department must develop a clear plan to ensure that language units are established by the provincial departments during the period under review. A progress report should be submitted to the committee within 30 days after the adoption of the report by the House. The department must ensure that Eastern Cape Provincial Geographic Names Committee is provided with proper office space and equipment to execute its mandate effectively and efficiently. Program number 3, Library and Archives Services, recommendations. The department must provide the committee with a turnaround plan to curb and deal decisively with under expenditure within library services. Failure to spend the allocated budget will have a negative impact on the overall performance of the department. A progress report should be submitted to the committee within 30 days after the adoption of the report by the House. The department must develop a sound and a proper implementation plan to ensure that the remaining 35 public libraries have access to e-learning services as matter of agents. An implementation plan should be submitted to the committee within 30 days after the adoption of the report by the House. The department must provide the committee with a project plan, costs involved, available budget, a clear time frame to ensure that Cook House Library is completed as a matter of great agents. The department must provide the committee with a proper plan to clear time frames to ensure that the digitization of whatever records are completed timelessly as per its targets. A detailed report must be submitted to the committee within 30 days after the adoption of the report by the House. Program 4, Sport and Recreation, recommendations. The department must develop a comprehensive plan to curb and deal decisively with the issue of underspending in sport and recreation. Failure to spend the allocated budget will have a negative impact on the overall performance of the department. A progress report in this regard should be submitted to the committee within 30 days after the adoption of the report by the House. The department should develop a clear plan to ensure both teams are well supported by and sustainable so that they continuing flying the Eastern Cape flag high. A detailed report should be submitted to the committee within 30 days. The department must ensure that at all material times, sporting bodies of people with disabilities are supported fully so that they don't feel marginalized and excluded by the society. The department should engage BCM to restore the dignity of this once, and I should have started with the finding here. But that nevertheless, the department should engage BCM to restore the dignity of this one state of the art athlete stadium by fixing and maintaining ablution facilities, ensuring that the athletics tracks meet the national and international requirements. General findings: the department continues to underspend in its programs. The department continues not to meet its targets because they are unrealistic and immeasurable. We table the report. I will go straight to annual half-year financial report On program 1, recommendations, the department should provide the committee with a clear plan on how it intends to address the issue of under expenditure in this program. A clear plan should be submitted to the committee within 30 days after the adoption of the report by the House. The department should provide the committee with an implementation plan in terms of how the money meant for this entity will be the department should provide the committee with an implementation plan in terms of how the money meant for this entity will be I will come back to this one. I think there's an error. The department should provide the committee with a detailed report as to why it underspent on this EPWP grant, given the challenges of high unemployment rate in the province. A progress report in this regard should be submitted to the committee within 30 days after the adoption of the report by the House. On program 2, cultural affairs recommendations, the department should provide the committee with a clear plan in terms of how it intends to address the issue of over expenditure in this program. A clear plan should be submitted to the committee within 30 days after the adoption of the report by the House. B, the department must develop a turnaround strategy that will address the issue holistically. Failure to develop this plan will have a negative impact on the overall performance of the department.
Honorable Member, you have 4 minutes remaining.
The department should, thank you very much, Speaker. The department should provide the clarity to the committee as how many job opportunities were created during the shooting of this film in Gqeberha. Library and Archives Program 3. Recommendation, the department should provide the committee with a turnaround plan to ensure that it deals decisively with a question of over expenditure in this program. The department must ensure that those contractors who performed poorly must be held into account for their poor performance at Tsuqa and Tembei modular libraries. A progress report should be submitted to the committee within 30 days after the adoption of the report. Program budget and recommendation A, the department must learn to budget properly in order to avoid under expenditure in future. A detailed plan should be submitted to the committee within 30 days. The department must ensure that the under expenditure on compensation of employees is addressed as a matter of great agents. The department must ensure that payment due to Eastern Cape Sport Confederations must reach it timelessly without any hindrance so that the entity can carry out its task effectively and efficiently. The department must ensure that there is a dedicated budget to support school sport association in order to produce sport stars that will fly the Eastern Cape flag high. Enkosi kakhulu Somlomo, we table both reports. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Member. There is only one member I see. I'm sure Honorable Gaya will also go sit that side. Are there any questions by the committee? No, yes, there's one question, Honorable Makubela, to the committee.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. My question will be directed to the MEC.
Honorable Makubela, we are not there yet.
Oh, okay.
Yes, we are first with the committee.
Okay.
If there are no questions, then we will allow you. The committee, you may be seated. You may then proceed, Honorable Matkobela, for the MEC.
Thank you. Hayi, ndiyabasizela yini. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Mine, Honorable Speaker, is on Program 2, Cultural Affairs, in relation to EECPGNC. I just want to check from the MEC if they do have a comprehensive plan to share the new gazetted names that has been approved by the National Minister with all Eastern Cape departments, specifically the Department of Transport, your community safety, health, education, the debt, as well as COCTA. I thank you.
Honorable MEC.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Good morning to you and good morning to the honorable members. Can I respond when I present the reply speech? Thank you very much.
So much. I will now call upon the DA, Honorable Zibonda. Your 12 minutes starts now.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, honorable members of the executive, honorable acting premier.
Honorable Zibonda, is your mic on because you are not audible?
Greetings to the honorable speaker, the honorable members of the executive and the honorable acting premier, members of the provincial legislature, members of the public gallery and members of staff. Madam Speaker, as the DA, we understand that the economy benefits when people use library services. A library is not just a place of books for entertainment. It is a resource center where people can apply and seek employment. Some use libraries to improve their skills and thus improve their employability. Libraries are a source of knowledge, and our people have and will continue to use these resources to break free from the cycle of poverty. Madam Speaker, during economic hardships, our citizens turn to libraries and depend on them. As the DA, we call upon the Department of Sports, Recreation, Arts and Culture not to simply pay lip service to the importance of libraries. The department must provide the necessary support and services to ensure that our libraries are functional. This can only be done if they are funded properly. Program 3 supports one of the key governmental goals aimed at transformation, sustainable development, and equitable access to information. Access to information is one of the keystones to democracy. Allowing people to seek and receive public documents is a critical tool for fighting corruption. It enables citizens to fully participate in public life, making government more efficient, encouraging investment, improving literacy, and helping people to exercise their fundamental human rights. The government is confronted with the urgent need to improve the economy, strengthen institutions, modernize the public administration, fight corruption, and address civil unrest. Access to information can be used to achieve all of these objectives. One of the committee's findings from a public participation week is that the budget allocation for the proper and effective running of libraries and museums in the province is inadequate. The sad reality is that the same program is a serial underspender. Municipalities across the province have to carry the costs of running libraries on behalf of DESRAC, even though the municipalities themselves are financially bankrupt. How is it possible then that the department was unable to spend over 15 million on libraries. Madam Speaker, it is my view that DISRAC is a grossly underfunded department. The MEC cannot allow this level of underspending. How can you justify the call to increase the budget for this department when you're not spending what you've been given? Madam Speaker, it is time that the integral role of sports in nation building is fully recognized. Sport is an investment. It is time that it is firstly an investment in the health, vitality, and productivity of our people. It is secondly an investment in our future. The social benefits include an overall improvement in population's quality of life and physical and mental
Honourable
moral
Member, you have
well-being.
3 minutes remaining.
Furthermore, thank you, Honourable Speaker. Furthermore, successful athletes serve as role models for our country's youth. These achievers are our unofficial ambassadors, espousing the value of equality and fairness in competition. Because of its visibility, sport can play an enormous part in redressing gender inequalities and discrimination against the disabled and minorities. Madam Speaker, the Eastern Cape Provincial Geographical Name Changes Committee is not doing justice to its mandate. Eastern Cape residents seeking information on name changes, including the renaming of several major towns in the province, will be hard-pressed to find any. It is nearly impossible to conduct this committee. There is a complete lack of transparency or adequate communication regarding the process from the Council or the Department of Sports, Recreation, Arts and Culture. The ECPGNC does not have a website or any platform where individuals can access information, find notices of public hearings, provide input, or even find names and contact information of the authorities they need to engage. Furthermore, the lack of such platform makes it difficult to access reports to scrutinize the work of, or if any, that they have done. The MEC committed that the department helps the committee by placing whatever they need to advertise on the department's website. I have visited the website. Nothing. The name change processes are supposed to be owned by the affected communities. On the contrary, they are excluded from the processes. The people of Cradock, Honourable Speaker, made it clear that they were against the proposed name change of their town. They attended public meetings and voiced their dissatisfaction. Yet the name was gazetted. Over 20,000 signatures to a petition were received and submitted to the Minister Mteto. He has not responded to any of their calls. Is this the kind of democracy our people can come to expect under the ANC? Is democracy not a government of the people, by the people, for the people? We need to ensure that people don't hijack our democratic processes for their own narrow interests. The DA will continue to fight these tendencies wherever they raise their ugly heads. Honourable Speaker, proper sporting facilities are a bedrock of a proper development, promotion, and coordination of sport and recreation activities in the province. We cannot ignore the fact that the state of our sporting facilities in the province is deplorable. According to the MEC's reply to my parliamentary question, she says the province has a huge shortage of sporting facilities. Yet, DESRAC only last conducted an audit of these facilities in 2014. This cannot be acceptable. Even though the building of sports facilities is the mandate of municipality, if DISRAC takes its mandate to promote, develop, and coordinate sporting facilities seriously, then it should do regular audits of the sporting facilities in the province because they have a vested interest. The legislature should also look into whether the 15% of the MIG allocation meant for sporting facilities should rather be allocated directly to DISRAC. It is my considered view, Honourable Speaker, that we could see more fruits if this money were to be, if this were to be the policy. Honourable Speaker, the DA accepts the report. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Honourable Zibonde. We now call upon the ANC Honourable Gaya again. Your 18 minutes starts now, Honourable Member.
Ndiphinde ndithathe lithuba ndibulise kuwo wonke umuntu okweli bhunga. inkulumbuso ebambele ingekho. Mhlambi somlomo mandilenze ilizwi lokumkwamkela ngoba siyaqala udibana naye umphathiswa kwingxoxo mpikiswano. Through you simamkele simlangazelele into yobana uya kuqhuba kakuhle kumxanduva alunikweyo, as well as umphathiswa ebekhona before yena, Honorable Fezeka Nkomonye. Umsebenzi uyabonakala, sithi enkosi kakhulu Marhadebe. Honorable Speaker, the department must be at the forefront of bringing about clean governance and seamless service delivery to our communities. The starting point will be a clean audit outcomes that the department has been able to achieve in the past 3 years or so. This must continue into the future without any let or hinder by those opposed to the success of the department. Clean audit outcome is what we are about as the African National Congress. However, this must not translate to lack or no service delivery on the ground. To achieve this, departmental plans must be followed to the latter, and it is the management role and function to be constantly on the ball when it comes to the implementation of departmental operation plans. We are grateful that the department is delivering on this and hope that this outstanding target.
Just hold on, Honorable Kaya, Honorable Cowley, Honorable Knutzer, Honorable Cowley, that's uncalled for. Thank you.
Honorable Speaker, we are operating under a new and different environment sparked by the advent of the COVID-19 pandemic. This calls for innovative and progressive programs that are forward-looking and futuristic in outlook. The department, and particularly this one, are called upon to think out of the box in their programs offering if they are to become competitive role players in the fast modernizing society or run the risk of being rendered irrelevant and absolutely by fast changing world informed by the arrival of the 4IR. The investments in the arts and cultural institutions seem to have taken this to heart as the Port Elizabeth Opera House has been declared the Mandela Bay Theatre Complex, which I believe will bring about the much needed innovation and investment in the performing arts sector. The amalgamation of this complex with the East London Guild Theatre into Eastern Cape Performing Arts Institute will bring about focus, certainty, and unity of purpose in this sector. We are confident that this amalgamation will be finalized as soon as possible, as we would like to talk about the Eastern Cape Performing Arts Institute the next time we meet, Honorable MSC, through you, Speaker. The Eastern Cape Provincial Arts and Culture Council has been well-oiled machine operating on behalf of the department over the years. This we would like to see going forward, and all staffing needs of the entity met and fulfilled. The online market established by this entity talks to the innovative approach in the programs offerings that we have talked about. Honorable Speaker, the renovation and resourcing of community art centers by the department cannot go unnoticed. We call on our communities to protect their properties against social mischief makers who more often than happen to be their own sons, including daughters of late. I am elated that craft products made at these centers are reaching international markets, which in their own will bring in international currencies that we all need. We have patiently waited for the development of the Eastern Cape film industry, that we are happy that this is coming into fruition. The Knuckle City film produced in the province has provided us hope that one day we would occupy our rightful place in the film industry of the country. if not in the world. For far too long, we have witnessed many of our film stars holding their own in places like Gauteng and elsewhere in the country. Through this development of our own film industry in the province, we hope that the veterans of the industry from the Eastern Cape will find an outlet to plow back to the province. We are happy that the department continues to lead in the commemoration of the massacres that took place in the province. In few years' time, the Bisho and Ekonge corridor will soon be saturated by housing and business activities. The stakeholders of the Bisho massacre must be assisted to position themselves for the possible eventuality so that they may leverage the much needed economic benefits for their own self-sustainability. Our people mustn't be left behind in these economic activities, only to be overtaken by unscrupulous business interests from within and beyond the province. The library's role in supporting lifelong learning researches and reading is hailed and noted by us. The building and the renovation of libraries in the province must be brought to completion. Honorable Speaker, we are calling for their completion because we are very soon, the department, okay. The sporting fraternity of the department has overall support as it contributes to the healthy bodies, minds, and social cohesion. School sport, we know from our past that through it, many of our talented athletes would have reached their full potential if it was for not apartheid sport and the resultant of social upheavals that took place. We are witnessing a steady rise of athletes through school and sport academies, some of which have risen to international level. We are saying that collaboration between the department and Department of Education must be enhanced so that we may see sport at this level being played on a more competitive and visible basis. I know there is much happening in this area. However, I think publicity needs some jacking up. In the 80s, there were schools, athletes training in our roads at the beginning of every academic or school year. I am not sure what happened to that and why that can't be resuscitated. These school sports helped a lot in fighting obesity. In general, mental stress that the current generation seem to be suffering from. As I conclude, Honorable Speaker, allow me to reiterate that the fact that introduction of non-traditional sporting codes in historical disadvantaged areas is a dream that we must pursue and realize in our lifetime. Honorable Speaker, the African National Congress supports the report as tabled. Enkosi.
Thank you so much, Honorable Member. We call upon the MEC, Honorable Konsiwe. Your 10 minutes starts now, Honorable MEC.
Thank you so much, Honorable Speaker. Good morning to you and the honorable members, the Premier, Acting Premier, the Chief Whip of the Majority Party, and the honorable members, the officials of the departments that are present here. Thank you very much for the opportunity. Honorable Speaker, let me also greet the media that is there and the grandchildren that are staying there. Honorable Speaker, Chapter 15 of the National Development Plan, Vision 2030, asserts that sports, arts, culture and heritage sector is a powerful driver in creating a sense of inclusiveness and encouraging interaction between South Africans from different social backgrounds. Furthermore, the NDP highlights the economic value and contribution of sports, arts, culture and heritage sector. This therefore suggests that strategies must be developed to exploit this economic potential of the sector. In response to the above, and ensuring that definite priorities of the National Development Vision 2030 are embraced, then the department has set the following focus areas amongst others. Investing in our partner institutions and ensure that these institutions are well governed and function optimally such that there is value for money and service delivery through financial transfers that we make to them. Also, partnership with private sector, particularly in leveraging corporate social investment funds for sports sponsorship and intergovernmental collaboration with municipalities. For example, the provision of upgrading of sports facilities and encouraging active and healthy lifestyle through collaboration with, for example, the Department of Health, Education, SAPS, and other departments that show interest. This includes working with community-based organizations and traditional leaders. Championing the post-COVID recovery of the sector through our return to play campaigns and reopening of festivals and other mass platforms. This was underpinned by a drive of economic recovery of the sector as part of the broader economic recovery of the country. Honorable Speaker and honorable members, we are proud to report our programmatic milestones made towards the improvement of economic and social output through the incremental implementation of the above-mentioned focus areas. The social benefits enjoyed by the people of the Eastern Cape, which is the home of legends, from the programs of the department, has delivered the following. The efforts to align funding with provincial departments and hosting municipalities were successful. The success of this collaboration approach is funding projects highlighted by the growth in the number of projects within these events. There was a significant proportion of Eastern Cape population who participated in a number of funded projects within each event and the program. Then participation rates varied from from one event to the other, according to various factors such as timing, weather, conditions, and other circumstances. This played a pivotal role, socially integrating role, and fostering community identity, creativity, strengthening social cohesion, and vitality. We successfully managed to deliver funded projects with diverse in scope and size and duration. These included sports recreation activities such as fun walks, marathons, etc. Social dialogues, memorial lectures, distribution of booklets and national symbols, hosting of flags, singing of a national anthem and AU, etc. These activities provided Eastern Cape population with opportunities to appreciate their cultural, ethnic, linguistic, geographic diversity, as we all know that Eastern Cape is the most diverse province. Many public and private providers within the province moved content online for free to keep audience engaged and satisfy the sharply increased demand for cultural content. The use of digital platform for festivals, e.g. National Arts Festival, we'll remember during the time of the hard lockdown, these festivals were held virtually. But people participated despite that fact. Countries such as China, for example, have, through the Eastern Cape Parks and Tourism, requested access to some of these visual material performers, and therefore they did participate. As I conclude, Honorable Speaker and Honorable Members, there are several reasons why investing in culture and sports in an economic imperative is an economic imperative. To mention but a few, culture including both arts and amateur sports, can mitigate the ups and downs of other industries. More diversity is healthy for any economy. Artists and athletes pay taxes, and their spending causes multiplier effect throughout the economy. This is where the economy benefits. Eastern Cape communities need to keep up with the global competitors, but we are the only good, and as for our last creative idea, if we want to truly be a province of innovators looking for new products, discovering environmental responsible ways to extract resources, finding efficiencies in manufacturing, we need to be creative and be innovative. No government tax credit can do it for us. Cultural workers often act like serfs, begging for crumbs falling from the government's table, depending on the government's funding. That has been mentioned here, that the department
MEC, you've got 3 minutes
is
remaining.
getting the list funding from the department. I must say, thank you, Honorable Speaker, the name change is not only the responsibility of the department, but we need to work together with the various departments. For instance, the signage of the other names depended mostly on the Department of Transport, the community safety for the police stations, and Department of Health for other signs, names changed in the hospitals and other fields. Also, that the department in assisting in the geographical name page, web page, the department is assisting. I'm responding to Honorable Zibonda's question on the web page that she said the department is assisting in developing the geographical name change organization in creating that website. So, but they are publicized in all the web pages of the other departments. Otherwise, we really appreciate that the portfolio committee has engaged the department such that, Honorable Speaker, before I'm sitting down, the department has obtained the clean audit opinion during the financial year 2021-22, and even the ECPEC, the same. So on behalf of the department, the portfolio committee, the honorable members, and my predecessor, MEC, I would like to thank them for their contribution and put the department where it is today. We really are going to follow up on the many recommendations that the portfolio committee has said, and we appreciate the role played by the portfolio committee as we take it that they are harnessing the work that the department is doing, and as such, we hope to improve for the best and deal with the areas of underspending as we continue with our responsibilities. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you so much, Honorable MEC. Honorable members, I put the report. Thank you so much. Any objection? Thank you. I will ask the secretary to read the third order of the day.
Consideration of report of the Portfolio Committee on Finance and Provincial Expenditure on Annual and Financial Oversight Reports.
Thank you so much, Secretary. Honorable Luana, your 15 minutes starts now.
Morning, Honorable Speaker, esteemed members of the House, Honorable MECs. I shall quickly run through this report of the Portfolio Committee. Starting on, oh, thank you. My greetings as well to our guests in the gallery. On program 1, we have found that the program has not achieved all its performance targets. an increase of 25% on previous year. Control audit findings was submitted. And the department said this was due to findings related to ICT. Am I reading a correct report? Page 727. Yeah, man, I must be looking at something. Thanks. Yes, yes. Madam Speaker. I should have taken a computer. But let me quickly go to the recommendations, honorable members. Hopefully that you are going through as well. That we have recommended, A, that the provincial treasury must share the improvement plan with the committee as well on quarterly basis so as to see the measures taken to prevent this going forward. On unavailability of network and associated with electricity outages, we're saying the provincial treasury must develop mitigating strategies to address electricity outages to avoid the unavailability of network. These outages are taking place frequently.